Bezrat Hashem, after Shabbat we're going to celebrate the holiday of Shavuot, and there's not much to know about the holiday in regards to halacha. It's not like Pesach or Sukkot that has a lot of halachot in it, but nevertheless there's a few things that we do need to know. And later on we'll just talk a little bit about, it's not a halacha, it's more like a custom, but we do eat a lot of dairy products on Shavuot, and really not a lot of people know why we do that, where is it coming from. So Bezrat Hashem, we'll go through it all, that way we prepare the right way for the holiday. So first we celebrated 2 days ago Rosh Chodesh, and from Rosh Chodesh Sivan till the 12th day of Sivan we don't say Tachanun when we pray, not in Shacharit, not in Mincha, not in Kriyat Shema L'Mitah. Some congregations, they have the custom not to do it 7 days, some 11 days, some 12 days, but nevertheless the majority go by that we don't say Tachanun for 12 days. We go back to Tachanun on the 13th day, and Tachanun is recited in Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit, and Kriyat Shema L'Mitah. These are the 3 times when we say Tachanun. It's an addition to the pray that we add after Tfilat Shmona Esrei. And of course each one does it a little bit different depending on the siddur that they use. But for the first 12 days of Sivan we don't say Tachanun. And the reason for that is because the first day of Sivan is Rosh Chodesh, so there's no Tachanun on Rosh Chodesh. The second day of Sivan is when we were commanded by Hashem to be a nations of priests and a light to the nations. Something that unfortunately is not applied so well, but nevertheless that's when we were commanded. On the second day of Sivan, that's when Hashem told us, I want you to be a light to the nations, and you should be a nations of priests. Then the next 3 days, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th of Sivan, is the 3 days that the men and the women, they had to separate, not to be with each other. So by the time it's ready to get the Torah, they were clean spiritually and physically. And then of course the days of Shavuot, it's a Yom Tov, it's a festival, there's no Tachanun. And 7 days after Shavuot is the days that anybody who couldn't make it to Beit HaMikdash to offer a sacrifice, then they gave another extra days. Because in Sukkot and in Pesach, there's a Chol HaMoed, and there's no Chol HaMoed on Shavuot. Now what happens to the people who wanted to come to Beit HaMikdash and to give a sacrifice? And they couldn't make it, they were late, there was traffic, missed their flight, whatever it is. So at the time of Beit HaMikdash, they gave another 7 days to complete. Whoever missed the opportunity, they still were able to do it. So therefore, since we don't have Beit HaMikdash yet, today, then we don't say Tachanun till the 12th day, till the 13th day. The full 12 days that we don't say Tachanun. Now, it's customary that before a holiday we give extra charity. So since this year Shavuot falls out on a Sunday, which is attached to a Shabbat, then it's important that on Friday, before you light candles, before you accept the Shabbat, that you give a little bit of charity for the merit of Shabbat, and then a little bit of charity that will be designated for the holiday of Shavuot. Now this year of Shavuot falls on Motzei Shabbat, on Sunday. Here in Israel we only celebrate 1 day. Outside of Israel, in the diaspora, we celebrate 2 days. And Baruch Hashem, we get it condensed in 1 day. And this year it starts on Saturday night. Now, the way we're going to do it this year is that we're going to celebrate Shabbat regular. We're going to have a short third meal, so we can pray Arvit at the right time on Saturday night. And in the prayer of Arvit, a lot of people were asking how they're going to do Havdalah. So in the Kiddush of Yom Tov that we say on Saturday night, we add a paragraph that includes in it Havdalah. Of course, when we pray Shmona Esrei, the prayer of Saturday night, which will be the Yom Tov prayer, there's another addition that we add there. It's called the Tachon Antano. There's a different, you have to look at the Siddur that you use, what's the part that we add for Motzei Shabbat, because it's it's a festival prayer, but it's Motzei Shabbat, so it's a little bit different. But you have to look in the Siddur right before to make sure that you're saying the right prayer. And already Motzei Shabbat, we're already praying the prayer for the festival. Right after that, we're going to go and have a Yom Tov meal, a festive meal. We're going to talk about it at the end of the class. Some people, there's different customs. Some people only eat a dairy meal that night, and no meat at all, and they eat the meat the next day. And some people, they eat dairy, they take a break, and then they switch the tablecloth and the plates and everything, and then they do a meat meal. So there's different customs. But nevertheless, it's a Yom Tov, it's a festival, that we do a festive meal. And right after that, we have a custom that we stay up all night and we learn. And we learn Torah all night. And the custom is originated in the teachings of the Zohar. The Zohar specifically in Parashat Emor is talking about it. And then some people, what they do is a certain tikkun, a certain book that we read the entire night. It's not so easy, it's long. And I'm not too sure, there is a version I know of in English that it's a PDF, but it's I think 100+ pages. But I'm sure one can get the translation. But it's a short version of the entire Tanakh. So you read portions of each parasha of the Torah, parts of the prophets, parts of the scripts, parts of the Mishnah and Zohar. It's very, very interesting because you go through everything. But nevertheless, we stay up all night and we learn. And again, some do reading from the Tikkun, some just attend the classes or read Tehillim or whatever they can. Here, of course, we'll have classes from 11 o'clock at night, and we're going to have different teachers. The classes will be short, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour classes, and we're going to go through the entire night. And it's a very powerful night to focus on the Torah. Well, first of all, it determines what will be my connection to the Torah this year. If I focus all night on learning the Torah, then that will determine how much connection I will have to the Torah the entire year. And my connection will come in a way that how much I understand what I learned, and how much I get excited about the Torah, and how much excitement I have to follow the Torah, and so forth. So it's a very important night to learn Torah. And not only that, we know by the teachings of the Arizal that he says that any person that stays up all night on Shavuot and learns Torah, first of all, he's guaranteed to live the entire year. Muvtach lo sheyashlim shnato, which that in itself is a huge promise. And not only that, it says v'lo ya'ara lo kol nezek. He's not going to have nothing. He's not going to be harmed. And this is a pretty powerful thing that you can guarantee to yourself by staying up all night and learning Torah. Then you get a blessing for the rest of the year. And again, different customs. Some people read the Tikkun, some people just read Tehillim, some people read from the Torah itself, and some people are just attend classes all night, and that is just as good. Now, very, very early in the morning, it's called Ashmoret HaBoker, really before dawn. Then we go to the mikveh. Men go to the mikveh. Women, they don't really have to, but men, we go to the mikveh very early in the morning. And specifically, there is a custom to do only 4 dips. This is brought by the Arizal in the book called Shara Kavanot, that you do specifically 4 dips. And then after that, right away we pray. So here, what are we going to do? Probably the same thing. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, we're all going to go to the mikveh. There'll still be some classes going on. And then we're going to pray. We're going to have to calculate exactly when dawn is. And we're probably going to start praying already at 4:45 in the morning. So when we reach to the point of Netz, the dawn, that's when we pray the Shmona Esrei. So we're going to have a very early minyan here. We're also going to have at 11 o'clock in the morning another reading of the Torah. So for the ladies, the kids that they want to hear the 10 Commandments and they don't want to pray at 5 o'clock in the morning, or they want to pray by themselves later on at 9 or 10, so we're going to have here at 11 o'clock another reading of the Torah, which we read from the 10 Commandments. And there's different customs. Some shuls, what they do is they spread grass on the floor. Some people put flowers on the floor. There's different customs what people do, because on Mount Sinai, when the Torah was given, a lot of flowers started blooming during Matan Torah. So some people spread flowers on the floor. Different customs that you can see in different shuls. But nevertheless, important to know that anyone who was up all night then and didn't sleep, a long sleep, which there's different opinions in halakha, whether it's half an hour or a whole hour, but nevertheless you still say the morning prayers, Birkot HaShachar, because a lot of people, they think that if they were up all night, maybe they don't have to say that. But nevertheless, then if you slept more than, the halakha calls it 60 breaths. So some opinions say 60 breaths is referring to 60 minutes, a whole hour. And some people say, no, when you sleep, how many breaths do you take? So every couple seconds you take a breath, like 4 or 5 seconds. So some rabbis in halakha say, no, the 60 breath is referring to half an hour. But if you sleep more than that, there's no question that you have to say the morning prayers. But if you didn't sleep, then you still have to say morning prayers. We do wash our hands, but without a blessing. We don't say al netilat yadayim. And the rest of the blessings we do have to say. Now, there is one of the blessings that is called, in English I think it's for giving the rooster the knowledge of when dawn is. Anoten l'sechvi bina. That can only be said after dawn. You can't say that before dawn. And then, of course, during the prayer, we do a prayer for the festivals. It's a little bit longer than usual. We say Hallel, we read out of the Torah. We take 2 books of Torah out. We read from 2 places in the Torah. And needless to say, the peak of the reading of the Torah is the 10 Commandments. For the ones who unfortunately lost their loved ones, then there is a certain prayer that we say on festivals. It's called the Memorial for the Souls. This is we do that after the reading of the Torah. It's called Hazkarat Neshamot. And I'm sure you're familiar that at that point, whoever their parents are alive, they leave the room. The ones that are not, they say a certain prayer. And after that, we have a meal. Now, here, what are we going to do? Like I said, we're going to pray very early in the morning. Whoever does can go home and rest, unless they want to stay up. And then we'll have at 11 another reading of the Torah, and after that we're going to have the meal. We're going to have here, the meal is going to be only a dairy meal, and I can guarantee to you there's going to be some very delicious things here. So Shlomo already promised us a 7-layer cheesecake and many other good things to stuff ourselves throughout the day. Now there is, like I said, the custom of eating dairy, and many don't really know where it came from, why we do it, but nevertheless, even though it's a custom, it's not a rule, it's not a halakha, but we take our customs pretty serious. Now there's many different reasons why we do that. There is one of them can be found in a book that is called Kol Bo. Everything is in it. And it says that we have a custom on Shavuot to eat milk and honey. And milk products and mixed with honey. And the reason for that is that the Torah is compared to milk and honey. Like it says that when we were going to be brought into the land of Israel, the land of milk and honey. Now, there is a verse in the book of Shir HaShirim that we recite every Friday afternoon, and the verse says, Dvash v'chalav tachat leshonech. The honey and milk is like under your tongue. The Torah is constantly should be under our tongue, that every word that we say has to do with the Torah. I mean, we should prevent from talking any nonsense, any words of nothingness. And I'm not talking right now lying and cheating and lashon hara, but nevertheless, it's a remedy that everything that our mouth should talk will be like milk and honey, just words of the Torah. Another interpretation, another reason why we eat the dairy products, and this can be found in a book that is called the Sefer HaMinagim, the Book of Customs, and he says there that the dairy products, milk, is hinting to the meanings of the Torah. And where do we learn that? There is a verse that says, Mincha chadasha leHashem b'shvuoteichem. A new offering to Hashem in the time of Shavuot. And the acronym of these three words of chadasha leHashem b'shvuotechem brings the word chalav, milk. Chadasha leHashem b'shvuotechem. And therefore, then this is a hint that we eat the dairy. Nevertheless, in the same book, he says, yes, we eat the dairy meal, but one should not eat meat, because we do have a custom that on the festivals we do eat meat. So like I said, some people, they do the night the dairy, the morning the meat, some do it the other way around, some people eat the dairy, they wait an hour and then do a meat, so different customs here. Now another interpretation, another reason, is that when they received the Torah, the day that they received the Torah, they had to do a kiddush, because they received all the halachot. Just imagine what's going on. The morning of Shavuot, they don't have the Torah, they don't know anything. They had a few mitzvot. Then they received the Torah. Okay, we got to do it right away. What's the first thing they needed to do? Was a holiday. They had to do kiddush. Now they had a problem, because all their wine, they were considered non-Jews at the time the Torah was given. So, which means that there is a din in the Torah that wine that was touched by a non-Jew, we can't do kiddush on it. There's many different reasons for that. So they couldn't do kiddush on the wine. So what did they have to do kiddush on? So they took milk and they did the kiddush on the milk. And therefore, then it continued that on the day of Shavuot they were drinking and eating milk. That's why some people say they only do it in the morning, they don't do it at the night. Another reason, this can be found in the Shulchan Aruch. It's more like a book that it's called the Book of the Reasons, and it says in the Shulchan Aruch that when you finish doing a mitzvah, you have to do a meal. I'm sure you ever seen that when somebody finishes a tractate of the Talmud or the Mishnah, they do a meal. And when you finish a mitzvah, you have to do a meal. Now, the day of Shavuot, we're finishing a very big mitzvah, the mitzvah of counting the Omer. It's one long mitzvah. From Pesach to Shavuot, we count the Omer, and it's considered one mitzvah. So we're finishing a mitzvah that we really put our mind to it for the 49 days, so we have to do a meal. Now, since we can mix the two meals, if we would do that meal with the meat, then it would be like what? So you're not doing a meal to a Yom Tov meal? So, therefore, we separate the two meals, and we do one meal that is dairy, and we're saying this is the meal to commemorate the ending of the mitzvah, the completion of the mitzvah, and then the other meal with the meat, that's the meal for the Yom Tov. And like I said, some people, what they do is they do the the dairy meal at night, and then the meat meal in the day. Some do it the other way. There's different types of customs. Now there's another reason why we eat the dairy, and this is based on the teachings of the Zohar. The Zohar says that there are 365 days of the year. We're not talking about now the calendar that you count with February, and we're talking about the according to the Jewish calendar. There are 365 days in the year, and they correspond to the 300. Sorry, did I say 600? So 365 days of the year, and they correspond to the 365 negative mitzvot, the precepts that we have in the Torah. Because in the Torah we have 613 mitzvot, 248 are positive and 365 are negative. Not that it means that it's negative to do, rather they're precepts. Don't, all the don'ts. The Zohar says the 365 days of the year, they correspond to the 365 precepts, meaning that every day of the year there's one precept that is connected to that day. Now, what is the precept that we're not allowed to do that is connected to the day of Shavuot? It says in the Torah about the day of Shavuot, the verse says, Reshit bikurei admatecha, the first of the crops of your land, tavi beit Hashem elokecha. You should bring it to the house of God. This is the mitzvah. We had to bring a certain offering on the day of Shavuot, and it would have been from the crops. But the verse says, the first of all your crops should go to the house of God, and how does the verse ends? Lo tevashel gdi b'chalev imo. You cannot cook a lamb in the mother's milk. This is the precepts of not mixing meat and dairy. Since the day of Shavuot is corresponding to the negative mitzvah of not mixing meat and dairy, which is a rule from the Torah, therefore, then we can't mix the meat and the dairy, so we only eat the dairy. And this is the equivalent, so to say, for the day of Shavuot. And like the Zohar says, every day there's one precept that will match to that day. And unfortunately, the Zohar doesn't say every day which precept it is. That way we will be able to have a little bit more connection to the days and the mitzvot. But nevertheless, it says that specifically the day of Shavuot corresponds to the precept of not eating meat and dairy, not mixing meat and dairy. So we are cautious not to mix the two of them, and therefore we do one meal that is the meat, but we still eat one meal that is dairy. Another reason is brought in the book called Bnei Sachar. This is a book of Kabbalah. It's not a book, it's like a lot of books, but it's called the Bnei Sachar. And he says there that we eat dairy products because dairy products come from milk. And milk is white. And there is a concept, we learned that actually in the Zohar about a month and a half ago, if you remember, that the sfirot in the world above, they correspond to colors. And every sfira has a certain color. And the sfira of Chesed is white. You remember, Gvura is red, Tiferet was green. And then there's the mixtures of the sfirot. But nevertheless, Chesed is white. And the color of the white is corresponding to the mitzvah of Chesed, of a lot of charity. And needless to say that on Shavuot, what shines in the world is the midah of Chesed of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore we commemorate that with the color white. And what is how much food do we have that is white? Not a lot of food is white. So what is white is milk. So we eat the dairy products to connect specifically to the loven, to the whiteness of Sfirat HaChesed that shines in the world. Not only that, there is a verse in Tehillim. You know, it's David HaMelech's birthday. King David's birthday is Shavuot. And he wrote the book of Tehillim. There is a verse in Tehillim, specifically in chapter 92, that it says, Lehagid baboker chasdecha, that we say in the morning your acts of kindness and charity. Again, we mentioned that Chesed is the color white, and Lehagid baboker chasdecha, we say early in the morning all the great charitable acts that you do, referring to the Master of the Universe. So again, these three words, La'agid baboker chasdecha, is the acronym of Chalav. It has the Lamed, Bet, and Chet. Chalav. Chalav is milk, so we therefore, one other reason why we eat the dairy products. Another interesting interpretation is that the word milk in Hebrew is Chalav, and the numerical value of the word Chalav is 40. Chet is 8, Lamed is 30, and Bet is 2, so it brings us to a numerical value of 40. And this is corresponding to the 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain. Right after Matan Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu went up onto the mountain. Yesterday we already learned that in the Zohar, that he didn't actually climb on the mountain like we think. Rather, he ascended to our higher worlds. And when it says that Moshe Rabbeinu went into the cloud, he didn't go into like a misty cloud. Rather, he removed the garment of his body. He removed his body and wore a different garment. That garment is called a cloud. That's the garment is the angel Michael, and it's called a cloud. And Moshe Rabbeinu just removed one garment. He took his body off and put a different garment that allowed him to ascend to the world above, and he was able to relate and to see the Shekhinah. So nevertheless, Moshe Rabbeinu was 40 days on the mountain. The numerical value of the word milk in Hebrew, chalav, is 40. So that's one more reason. Not only that, there are 40 generations from the time that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the mountain till the Torah was brought down into a writing, the oral Torah. I mean, we know that Moshe Rabbeinu he received the written Torah, and then he brought also the oral Torah. 40 generations after that, the oral Torah was written down, and that's the Talmud. And the oral Torah was written by two rabbis, Ravina and Rav Ashi. These are two sages that they took all the oral Torah and they wrote it down. That's the Talmud that we learn. So that's like exactly 40 generations after Moshe Rabbeinu went up into the mountain. And not only that, 40 corresponds to the letter Mem, and the numerical value of the letter Mem is 40. And the Talmud, the oral Torah, starts with the letter Mem. And not only that, also ends with the letter Mem. So the entire oral Torah, which is the Talmud, starts with the letter Mem and ends with the letter Mem. So another hint why we eat the milk. Again, the chalav is 40, Mem is 40, and so forth. Another explanation, this is brought down by the famous rabbi his name is Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen from Lublin, the Jose from Lublin, and he says that the custom to eat milk products on Shavuot, he says that the same way that they received their food on Mount Sinai, that's how we receive it. How does a baby receive his food from the mother? He breastfeeds and he gets the milk from the mother. The same way that we received the Torah, it was like, so to say, breastfed to us. We just received it on Shavuot. A baby doesn't have to do much. He's born, he's hungry, the mother feeds him right away. And what does he feed him? She feeds him milk. The same exact way we were like breastfed by Hashem on the night of Shavuot, and the Torah was just given to us. So he says the same way, so we also eat the dairy products. Another explanation, this is brought by great tzaddik Rabbi Shimshon Me'astripoli, and he says that Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, has 8 names. One of the names of the mountain is called Gavnunim, Har Gavnunim, the mountain of Gavnunim. You can find that in many scripts. And Gavnun comes from the word in Hebrew Gvina. Gvina is cheese, but we call it cheese. 5,000 years ago they didn't have cheeses, but rather the word Gavnunim in Hebrew, it represents something very, very clean. Usually cheeses are white. I mean, you have some cheeses that are off-white or yellow. Most cheeses are white, and because the milk color is white. But nevertheless, the word gvina in Hebrew is something that is very pure and clean. And therefore, we eat the cheese, the white cheeses on Shavuot. So again, we receive the Torah on the mountain, that the mountain's name is Gavnunim. One of them, I mean, that has 8 names. Another reason is that when we received the Torah on Har Sinai, again, we didn't have the Torah. Now, once we received the Torah, we received the rules of that we have to slaughter the animals in a certain way. Before that, we didn't slaughter animals. We just killed them and ate them. Once we got the Torah, came all the rules of shchita. Which animal you can slaughter, how you have to slaughter it. There's also a time. You can't slaughter the calf in the first 8 days. There's different rules, how you and where you cut the throat. There's certain animals that you can't eat, they're not kosher. But before that, we didn't have those rules. Now what happened? We got the Torah. With the Torah came these rules. So right on that spot, all the pots that they had were impure. They were taref, because the meat was unkosher. Not only that, they didn't have the knives. They didn't know all the rules yet. So we can't eat the meat. We can't eat the animals because we don't know how to slaughter them yet. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't teach us how to slaughter. I mean, the rule came. Listen, you got to slaughter the animals. But how? Oh, I'll teach you. But they didn't know yet how to do it. Nevertheless, whatever meat they had was not kosher. And whatever dishes that they had, the pots and everything, was also not kosher. So they couldn't eat anything that has to do with meat. Therefore, they were like, okay, so what are we going to eat? Let's eat all the dairy. And since then, this is another one of the customs why we eat the dairy products on the holiday of Shavuot. And this is just a few of the reasons. There's many other reasons, very interesting. There's different books that one can read. Maybe on Shavuot we'll learn some of that, or maybe tomorrow. More of the reasons, but this is just to have an idea why we do it. And nevertheless, a lot of the customs that we explained it, but there's more of a mystical reason behind it. And when we do something physical in this world, it allows us mystically to connect to a certain realm in the world above. So sometimes we don't understand why we do it, but our sages, our teachers, our rabbis still instruct us to do something. We know that there's something mystical behind us that does affect us and makes a connection between this world and the spiritual world. So B'ezrat Hashem should have a lot of cheesecakes and a lot of pastas or whatever it is. I can tell you that the menu we're going to have on Sunday afternoon is going to be a very delicious menu. So B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you all on Sunday. And in the meantime, should really focus on the greatness of the day. It's not a day that we want to sleep in and a day that we just want to walk around or what they say, hang out with family and friends. This is the day when we receive the Torah. And even though we received the Torah physically 3,400 years ago, but spiritually we're receiving it again on that day. And we just receive it. The holiday is called Chag Matan Torah. The holiday that the Torah is given. I don't have to do anything. It's just given to me. But I have to be present there. If I'm not going to show up, how am I going to get? So we have to understand that we have 7 weeks to prepare ourselves. We only have 3 more days to prepare ourselves. Not a lot more. But if I do everything the right way and I prepare myself the right way, comes this great day where I will just receive the Torah. The Torah becomes part of me. And it means, what does it mean to me? That it means that first of all, whatever I learn from the Torah, it sticks. I actually remember it. Whatever I learn, I understand that. So many times you go to a class, you don't understand what the rabbi is talking about. Especially if he's talking about something a little bit more refined or mystical. Some people can sit in a class for a whole hour, don't understand one word. And some people, they sit 5 hours and they not only swallow the words, they absorb the words. The Torah becomes part of them. That's what I want. I want my connection to the Torah to be very deep and profound. Most people, they might be following the rules, but they're doing it because they've been told, or they're afraid, or whatever, and they're just following everybody. They don't really understand what they're doing. They don't internalize it. I want my connection to the Torah to be deep. I want to understand what I'm doing. I want to have such a connection that I love to do the mitzvot. I run to do the mitzvot. And this is the day where I build a connection with the Torah. Especially, I want to make sure that the Torah becomes part of me. That, we say, there is a verse in the Torah that says, Ki hi chayenu ve'orech yamenu. The Torah is our life and our way of life. So I want my life to be the Torah, and I want my way of life to be the Torah. And some people might say, no, it sounds too fanatic. It has nothing to do with fanatic. Our sustenance is the Torah. It's not food or money. And I said that in the class before, that we are compared to fish because fish can only live in the water. There's a famous story that when Rabbi Akiva was the Rebbe, the leader of the generation, there was a decree by the Roman government, the Roman leader, you're not allowed to learn Torah. It was illegal to learn Torah. And needless to say, if you get caught learning Torah, you get killed. So much more so of teaching Torah. And Rabbi Akiva would still learn Torah. And one time, a soldier, a Roman soldier, I don't know if it was a regular soldier or maybe a general or whatever it was, he walked into the shul and he sees Rabbi Akiva learning. He's like, what are you doing? You know, it's illegal. He's like, I know. Like, you know, we're going to kill you. He's like, either way, I can't live without the Torah. And Rabbi Akiva answered the soldier, you know what it means? What are you telling me now? To stop learning Torah? It's like you going now to the ocean and telling a fish to go out of the water. You're basically telling the fish, kill yourself. If hypothetically the fish will just leave. The fish cannot live without the water. So he says, I can't live without the Torah. So if I stop learning Torah, either way I will be dead. So whether you kill me or spiritually I will be dead because I don't have the Torah, same thing for me. And needless to say that they did murder him. But we can't live without the Torah. Any person that lives without the Torah, they have a meaningless life, an empty life. Yeah, and that's why most people, and this is both for Jews and non-Jews, by the way. Non-Jews also they have a portion in the Torah. They have 7 mitzvot that they have to follow, and it's 7 titles. It's more like 70 mitzvot. They have a lot of mitzvot that they need to do. It's not a question here if they want to or not. The nations, they have to participate in the Torah too. And it's our responsibility to teach them, by the way. We're failing not to teach them. 3,400 years, we are failing to teaching the nations about the Torah. But nevertheless, also non-Jews, they're obligated in learning and performing the mitzvot. But a person that doesn't have the Torah is not their complete essence, there's an emptiness inside. And then what's the result? They're running after all sorts of worldly pleasures to fill up the void. A person that has an empty life, they need to fill up the void. And how would they do that? They're looking for all sorts of pleasures in this world because inside there's a certain emptiness. They don't understand where it's coming from. But they think, maybe I feel this emptiness, this void, because I don't have enough money, or my clothes are not nice enough, or I need to get the new iPhone that just came out, or I need a vacation every 3 months, or I need to abuse drugs and alcohol, whatever it is. It's coming from a deep place inside. Something's missing. I don't know what it's missing, but something is missing. So I go and look for things. So I get these momentary gratifications. Whether it's a meal or chocolate or a party or a movie, but really it's because something deep inside is missing, and that's the Torah. So I want the Torah to be part of my life. If I don't have the Torah, it's like a fish without being outside of water. So the night of Shavuot is the night that I establish this connection. And there's a lot of people say it sounds too extreme or too fanatic. It's nothing to do with fanatic or extreme. It's our existence. Our existence is the Torah. And if I'm missing that, then I'm not going to be happy. I might have a lot of money. I might be very popular and have success. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be happy. The real happiness comes because my neshama, my soul, is happy and content. And the only thing that makes the soul happy is Torah. Nothing else. And that is the day that I build the connection with the Torah. It's the day that determines my connection with the Torah. And needless to say, it's not a day to sleep in or to hang out. This is the day that I want to focus on all that. So, Bezrat Hashem, should have a beautiful, beautiful, meaningful holiday. And we should all receive the Torah in a very internal way, that it becomes part of us. And that our way of life is based on the Torah and the mitzvot. And doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what's your gender or background. The Torah, everybody has a portion in the Torah. That's what we say every day when we pray. We say, should be a will in front of you, the master of the universe, that you should rebuild the holy temple. Give me my portion in your Torah. We all have a portion. And we want to receive this portion. Because any person that doesn't hold the Torah is emptiness, is sadness, is not fulfilled and complete. Zad Hashem, we should really benefit from the holiday in the best way possible. Should have a happy and kosher Yom Tov.